Hello. Today is, let me see, the 19th of July, 2019. And as you know, Jeffrey Epstein is in the news lately. And you also know that I sometimes check on people like this. Jeffrey Epstein is, the word I prefer to use, possessed by a reptilian entity. And we're going to do something about that. However, because this is a process where we would hope for, if you want to say, justice to be carried out, we also know that these reptilian entities are going to try to be influencing this whole process, including possibly even the judges, jury, anybody else there. So, we can't just deal with Jeffrey Epstein, we have to deal with all of them. But as you may have seen in my other videos, maybe the best introduction to this is Exorcism of the U.S. Senate, where you can see how I find who are possessed and what I do about it. And very interesting, a good example from that Exorcism of the U.S. Senate, which I did in, I believe it was toward the end of 2015, I think. One of the few I actually checked personally was this guy who became Donald Trump's Attorney General, and his name was Senator Jeff Sessions, and this Senator Jeff Sessions was controlled by a reptilian entity. I could tell that because his energy age, as I call it, where normal people who aren't possessed or controlled or replaced by reptilians have a energy age of not over 100. For example, ghosts, their energy age, if I communicate with them, which I've done on several occasions, their energy age is 103. Okay? Somewhere I explained how I come up with this. Basically, I came out with it just asking people's age, and I was getting these, if you want to say, wrong numbers. But then I asked the magic question, what do those numbers mean? And they actually were an indicator of health, not of calendar age, where we die at 100. So I can tell when people are alive or dead. And even animals, they die at different energy ages. But anyway, I can tell a lot about, in this case, people at a distance, basically anybody, including this Jeffrey Epstein. So, to see if Jeffrey Epstein is a normal human being, or one who is at least controlled by the reptilians, who are usually the 888 reptilians, I will connect now with Jeffrey Epstein. As you have seen in other videos, I do with the pendulum, obviously. When it stops, I have the connection. Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. Now, when I'm going to ask a question about him, the pendulum starts swinging side to side. It does that on its own. My hand moves, but I don't move the pendulum. The pendulum moves my hand. My hand, not always perfectly steady, but it works. Absolutely. I've done this for hundreds of hours now. And believe me, I don't fake any of this. So it's waiting for me to ask a question. I'm going to ask his energy age. 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. If this were a normal person, it wouldn't be spinning. It would have stopped by now. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. And I know it's going to be 888. 888 is spinning in basically a perfect circle fairly strongly, and I don't move it. 888. That's his energy age. Okay, that means he's possessed by one of these reptilians. Now, usually these are people with a low level of conscience. And I haven't tested this. Let's check Jeffrey Epstein's level of development of conscience. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 85. That's interesting. The other day I was getting definitely lower, like in the 60s. Maybe what he's going through is actually making him try to raise his conscience. I'd say it's a little late for that, I hope. Anyway, he was like 60-something the other day. So maybe he's going up, but there's not much chance he'll make it in time. Anyway, but a wonderful example of this, after I do this exorcism, is this same Jeff Sessions, who now, and I didn't know what happened after I exorcised them, depossessed them, his level of development of consciousness actually went up to 5th dimensional level of conscience. And let's connect now to this Jeff Sessions. This is the only person I'm going to connect to before we get to Jeffrey Epstein here. Jeff Sessions, ex-senator, ex-attorney general of the U.S. Okay. Well, first we'll check his energy age, because he was an 888. It's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 2, 3, 4. It's starting to lose energy at 54, 53. It would stay spinning evenly and strongly at 53. His energy age is 53. He is not possessed. Now, his level of development of conscience, 100. Already above Jeff Epstein, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000. I know it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,000. See, it's getting up there. It's getting energy. 11,325. That is Jeff, let me get this where the camera sees it, Jeff Sessions' level development of conscience. I have a phone call, so I will stop here and continue. Okay, so I'm back. That was a patient from the U.S. have an appointment tonight for a treatment for his son who has major problems that the doctors can't help him with, and I can probably help. Okay, we'll get back here. Now let's communicate back with this Jeffrey Epstein. And the main thing I want to do today, get the connection with him, okay, is I actually want to do an exorcism. Now, these reptilians will try to influence people everywhere else and try to get this case, covered up as much as possible and everything else. So we should be checking all the other people involved in the case, the prosecutors, the judge, the jurors. We won't know the jurors' names, but I can connect with them. I can just say, for example, the oldest juror, the next oldest, and I can know if any of them are actually being manipulated through this reptilian conscience. But people would have the question, I actually plan to ask these questions here online first. What do they get out of being, if you want to say, possessed by these reptilians? And how did that happen? Well, I'm going to put below a link to a video by, I think the guy's name is Javier in Mexico. It's in Spanish, so only those who speak Spanish will be able to understand it. But he actually, in a hypnosis, talks to this reptilian entity who explains a lot of how they operate. And among other things, he don't listen to the first part of this. It's several minutes before it actually gets into the important part. The first is the introduction, but he explains that the reptilians can possess, in his words, were weak people. Well, in my terms, is people with a low-level conscience. So it's easy for the reptilians to possess. A Brazilian guy, a real interesting guy named Rodrigo Romo, who's definitely from other planets, from everything that he knows, he explains it. He says it's almost like selling your soul to the devil, the story of that, because when people die, the reptilians are there because they're afraid to go forward to have to do their life review and see all the big mistakes they've made, and they would prefer to come back to the earth. And they can do that by making a deal with these human souls when the humans die, and they make a deal with them, offering them fame and fortune in exchange for letting themselves be possessed by these reptilians in subsequent incarnations. And that's how Rodrigo Romo explains it. So I'd asked this question a few years ago, but how does that work? Well, what benefit do people really have? Well, I asked them, I like to work with numbers, so I asked some very simple questions. How much more money, on the average, would a human have by letting him be possessed by a reptilian soul? Reptilian control. And obviously it's going to be more, so I'm going to start with the numbers, and then we'll compare it to what it gave me before. I remember what it gave me about. How much more money will they have by being possessed? This is the fame and fortune they were promised, right? 10%, see it's moving some. 20, when it's a circle, it's answer. 30, 40, 50, 60. 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70, 71, 72, 73, pretty much a perfect circle, and 74, still spinning, 74, and 75 is going to stop. The last number it continues spinning at is the answer. So that was 74. If I think 74, it starts spinning again. So they are 74% richer by allowing themselves to be controlled by this reptilian entity. Now, what other advantages does it have? Well, among the things that this reptilian entity in the hypnosis brings out, which I'll put the link below. I might not get it done today, but I'll do it over the next couple days. I should be able to. They also can work with mind control. In other words, they can influence people without them knowing it. So I ask, how much more convincing can they be to other people by having this reptilian control? And it's also a positive number. That's one of the things that they're giving, is fame, be able to convince other people you're somebody special. Fame and fortune. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 39% more convincing. In other words, able to control other people. 39, 40, 41, 41%, and 42 is going to stop. 41% more convincing. So they're going to try to use this ability to control people's minds to influence the jury, to influence witnesses, anything they can do. So we'll try to, if you want to say, interfere with that process too, to make sure that justice is served in this case, we hope. Okay, now we'll get on to the main thing. This is going to be the exorcism of Jeffrey Epstein. And I learned this because the first person who was actually possessed, I didn't know they were possessed. They just had a high energy age. Actually, in that case, 186, and this person wasn't dead. And I thought, well, what's wrong with him? And one of the questions I asked, does he have a lot of negative energy? And it said yes. The pendulum indicated yes. It doesn't speak yet. And so I took away his negative energy, and he was 32. So I had to ask, what was that? I mean, the guy's wasn't sick at all. What was this? It wasn't just negative energy causing him health problems. Something beyond that, and it comes out that he was possessed. That's the first person I found who was possessed, okay? And I ended up finding more and more and more, and then, as you can see, an exorcism of the U.S. Senate. One of my recent videos was exorcism of Bill Clinton. I exorcised Hillary Clinton long ago. She was actually one of the few people I've found who is double possessed. I depossessed her once, and her energy was still over 100, and I had to do it again. Yeah, I don't have much regard for Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, if you've seen my other comments, died long ago. The Hillary Clinton who died and was thrown into a van on that September 11th Memorial Day was one of the clones. Evidently, when they cloned her, the clones also had the same disease problem, had the same physical impediment that she had. And so the person who they are saying, and who actually, of course, thinks that she is Hillary Clinton, is not Hillary Clinton. She's a French woman named Pamelle, P-A-M-E-L-L-E. And I asked the pendulum to spell out her name. At first, the way I do this, I ask how many letters. In this case, it's 7 letters. So I put 7 spaces on a paper. And I asked for the first letters, a vowel or consonant. In this case, it was a consonant. So when it's a consonant, I just go down the whole alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and etc. And when I got to P, then it's spinning in a perfect circle, and if I put Q, it stops, so I write down P. And it started P-A-M, and I thought, oh, Pamela. And then I'm thinking, no, Pamela is only 6 letters, and the pendulum said there's 7, so I'll continue and see what it comes out. And it came out P-A-M-E-L-L-E. That is the person who thinks she is Hillary Clinton. Just like they do with the clones, of course, they download the mind of the original roughly once a month to keep it up to date, and then they put it into the clones, so they don't have amnesia for more than at the most 1 month. Anyway, so she thinks she's Hillary Clinton, but she's not. And I looked up the name Pamela, which I'd never heard of before, and it's French for Pamela. So this is one of several instances of people spelling out people's names. One of these days, I want to record it for posterity, if you want to say. I'm going to get out the name of Jack the Ripper. I saw a video of remote viewing, connecting with him when he was with one of his victims, and I actually got out a genuine name and last name that neither one of which I'd never ever seen for the victim. I connected to the victim, so I can connect to anybody, even in past times, and get out their names. I'll do that with Jack the Ripper. I could go to that same scene, so I have the same man, and connect with him, and I could test, for example, his net worth. We could know if he's a rich man, a poor man. I can test his sincerity, which would have been very low, etc., etc. So I could get his name out. Anyway, I got talking about names. Let's go forward with Jeffrey Epstein, and we'll do this exorcism. I'll probably just start recording this, and I'll give you the time right now. Here in Costa Rica, it's 5:15 p.m. And what I do, I send to take away all negative power, authority, communication, and energy of the person or entity who claims to be or is Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't know how long this will take. This is 5:15 p.m. To keep it short, I'll just turn off the recorder here and come back when I'm done, and we'll see what time it is then. See, it's going to be fairly fast. Sometimes it really bounces around a lot before it starts spinning in circles. But maybe when they get into trouble, these entities are like ready to leave, and it won't take so long. Maybe they want to get out of there because they see it's not going very well for them. And it's interesting, I did one the other day, and I'd never tested this before. I'm going to tell this little story here. I'd never tested it before, but my first patient was a little dog, and she died from a snake bite. But she lived a few days before she died, and I was testing all her chakras and everything, and I learned, how to do all that and the actual effect on somebody with major problems. And then she died, and after she died, I checked her chakras, and all of her normal main chakras, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, stopped at the moment of death. But her 7th chakra, which is your connection with God, with the universe, continues spinning for 3 days. And interestingly, this last exorcism I did, which I didn't publish for some reasons that I'll probably explain later, I communicated with that like a day or two after this exorcism, and these reptilian, and I didn't show that on Epstein. I can go back and show it. These reptilian controlled people, only their first 3 chakras are functional, and they are strongly backwards. So this energy age of, in this case, 888, plus the 3 chakras being backwards, and only 3, are clear indicators of reptilian possession. Okay. In the case of this Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, when I did the exorcism on him, of course, then he has no chakras functioning, but somehow they start functioning, and I'm assuming a normal human soul came in, or his own soul came back, or I don't know. Anyway, but I connected to this one I did recently, and a couple days later, and his 7th chakra was spinning strongly. It was as if he actually was in the process of death for that reptilian soul that had possessed that human body. And I'd never checked that before. If I checked it now, it would have stopped by now, because that only continues spinning for 3 days. You have 3 days, if you want to put it that way, to go to the light. Okay? Later, after that, to go to the light is more difficult. It's not impossible. It's more difficult, and usually you need help. That's something that I have done with several people, including people I find, if you want to say, stuck souls or ghosts that I find during hypnosis. I help them to the light. Okay? This is exorcism of Jeffrey Epstein. It started at 5:15 p.m. I'll shut it off now, and I'll be back when it's done, and then I'll try to keep it short and have some closing comments. Okay, it has now been 9 minutes, and I did the first step of the exorcism of Jeffrey Epstein. But I forgot to show you something, so I'm going to go back. Well, first I'll check it right now. We'll check his chakras. Okay? Most of you know what chakras are if you've seen my videos, but anyway. Here's his first chakra. First chakra. Jeffrey Epstein's first chakra. His second, his third, his fourth. Okay. Just by this first stage, it's already has, if you want to say, gotten rid of, we neutralized those negative chakras. Now let's go back to Jeffrey Epstein 20 minutes ago. Communicate with him 20 minutes ago. Now I'm going to show you his chakras then. Here's his first chakra. These are the signs of reptilian possession. This is rotating backwards. Jeffrey Epstein's first chakra. His second chakra keeps on spinning the same. And his third chakra. Okay. There's his third chakra. See it spinning? Now I say his fourth chakra. Fourth chakra, nothing. Fourth chakra, nothing. Fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, nothing. Nothing. Okay, now let's check his seventh chakra 20 minutes ago. Seventh chakra, nothing. Okay? Let's check his seventh chakra now. Nothing. Okay? So I have to go deeper. It's this other stages of this process. I actually divided into 4 steps that evidently do the final process of removing this reptilian, if you want to say, soul, this possession, and sending it forward so it goes toward wherever it's going to go. That's up to them. Okay? So I'll continue now with the other stages. Okay, I might explain this a little bit. The first stage is just taking away his power, authority, communication, and energy. The second stage is doing the same thing hasta lo más profundo de su alma, to the deepest of his soul. And this goes back into past lives. And see, this is actually moving a lot here. I think it's jumping up and down more. So this guy probably has a past history of reptilian possession. This is just one of the times that he's been possessed. So we'll see. This may very well take longer than the 9 minutes. Let's say I started this at 5:20, really probably 5:25. Okay? No, I'm sorry. 5:26. Yeah, 5:26. Okay? We'll continue. Okay, that actually took about 7 minutes or so. That's to the deepest part of his soul. Next I will do to the deepest part of time and space. And in the end I will do to actually what I call deeper and deeper. And when that stops, that's the final thing. A friend who has visions, as we understand from her visions of what's happening, this actually, when I do it that way, it actually goes back to the moment of their creation. It's like at the end it's going through a tunnel and it reaches a bright light, which would be the light of the Creator. So by doing this I can take away this reptilian possession all the way back to the maximum. And then after I do that, after that's done, which is the next thing I'm going to do, then we'll check his chakras and his energy age and see what happens here. It's going to be interesting. Okay, it has now finished the process of the exorcism of Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't count the minutes here, probably another 5 minutes or so is all. Okay, and now while this is spinning, I was actually reading an article on interview with a winemaker. I'm getting interested in grapes. A man who used the pendulum says, I'm the only person he's ever seen who can have the pendulum doing things and be doing something else while the pendulum's operating. Most people have to concentrate on what the pendulum's doing. I just tell it to do what it's doing, and then I can, I have to pay a little bit of attention, see when it's stopping and stuff. But anyway, okay, now let's communicate to Jeffrey Epstein now. And I haven't done, the other day I did this, I didn't do it right after I did the exorcism, so I don't know. Okay. We have a connection with him now. What is his energy age? Okay, this is the Jeffrey Epstein you'll be seeing, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 51, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See where it goes. 59, 59.1, 2, and it's going to stop. 59.1. It would stay spinning here forever if I let it at 59.1 years. That's his energy age. He's no longer an 888. Okay? Now let's check his chakras. His first chakra. That was gone, remember, from the first stage. His second, his third. Okay? Now the big test, and I have never tested this before. Okay? Let me see. His first chakra, nothing. Second, I'll do this slowly. Third, fourth, fifth. See, I make it jump. Let's see if it wants to move. Sixth chakra. Now let's go to his seventh chakra. Seventh chakra. See, the before that didn't work. This is his seventh chakra. That means this reptilian soul is actually in the process of leaving or has already left that human body. This is Jeffrey Epstein's seventh chakra. Wow, the first time recorded live on national television, or whatever you want to call this. Okay, this is Jeffrey Epstein's connection with the universe. He is actually leaving that body and going forward out of the human body, or human appearing anyway. And evidently from the case of this Jeff Sessions, then now the future's up to him, no longer up to the reptilians. And I'll be doing this with other people that I find involved in this case. And one of them was a guy named Thomas Volscho, Volscho, that I see was coming up with something changing the dates when supposedly this Epstein was a teacher at Dalton School, and he's there to create confusion. And I actually connected to this Mr. Thomas Volscho. Let's do that right now. This Thomas Volscho, who is claiming to have information which will at least confuse, and if you can confuse people, then they won't know what to decide, right? His energy age: 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 888. See? This Thomas Volscho is in there. They've already come in, swooping in for the kill, if you want to say, to try to influence the outcome of this case by creating confusion. They'll try to control the jurors. They'll try to control the judge. Anything they can do. Clearly, this Thomas Volscho is in for an exorcism. I won't record it, but I will do it. Okay, and I'll be checking anybody else connected with this so we can have some justice on this planet. These people and reptilians who thought they could get away with this will see that humans are coming up with ways to deal with them. And that's what we're here for. Okay, and as a final thing, I promise this is the last, I'm going to ask, how many people on Earth have the ability, if they would do it, to do what I just did? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 200, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 300, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 400, 10, 20, 30, it's real close, 431, 32, and it's going to 432, 433, and it's going to stop. There are 432 people on Earth that could do what I did. Maybe you're one of them. And of course, many of you can do different things. But let's get organized and get going on all this, people. It's time to change the future of this planet. Thank you for watching, and I will continue on this project, all in preparation for a new Earth and the process of ascension, which includes getting rid of all these dark energies and these dark deeds that have been gotten away with for so long, including Jeffrey Epstein, who is no longer reptilian controlled. Thank you.